Ready to begin. Okay, looks like we're recording. Welcome to this webinar we're doing today. The topic of the webinar is the joy of finding your great customers. And we are going to present that today and how to find your customers and find it joyfully. We're going to give you some specific steps on how to do that. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sunil Bhaskaran. My partner in crime here in presenting these webinars is Bill, and he's muted right now because he's typing away merrily. But he'll be on hand to answer any questions if we need to have him come in. And if you just joined us again, welcome to the webinar. The webinar today is Joy of Finding Great Customers. My name again is Sunil Bhaskaran. And let's see if I can get my webinar going here. Again, if you have any questions, make sure you submit those questions via the chat box on your computers at the top part of your screen. So, today you're in the right place if you're tired of struggling with attracting clients and sales. And, I know I feel for a lot of you have presented some of your situations to me in the last few days. I want you from Bill and I, we really understand what it's like. We've been through that phase. It's really exhausting, trying to, up and down phase of generating business, struggling with attracting clients and sales. And so we want to really present some, not just concepts, but some hard practices today, how you can actually do that. So really, you're in the right place if you're ready to have a flood of the right kind of customers. Not the kind of customers that give you anguish and pain and then don't pay you. But have a flood of the right kind of customers, and then have a clear focus for profit and satisfaction. What's the point of being an entrepreneur if you set yourself up to suffer all the time? It doesn't make any sense, never made any sense to me. And yet we see a lot of people struggling and suffering, what I call the long-term suffering. And it's because they don't have a clear focus for what's going to make a difference for them in terms of profit and satisfaction, both for satisfaction for you as well as a satisfaction to your clients and customers. We're also going to give you an opportunity today, to really up-level your business game. For some of you, you may be in the mid-level of your business. You've been doing it maybe for a couple of years or a couple of months. But some of you, you're just starting out. And the opportunity, like I was given back in 1991, is to up-level your game. We're going to share a little bit of what that may look like for you. And part of up-leveling your business game is to no longer tolerate having bad customers, but having a slew of customers that you can pick from, preferably. So you're in the position of choice, not your prospects. And we want to teach you how to do that today. A little bit about me and Bill today. So for myself, my name is Sunil Bhaskaran. My first name is Sunil. Spelled backwards is Linus, but don't call me Linus. Spelled backwards brings back a lot of bad memories for me, etc. Since 1991, I've been spending the last 24 years working with entrepreneurs, mostly thousands of them, literally, in front of large groups, in small seminars, in terms of the coaching that we do in groups, in terms of the coaching that I've done one-on-one with people. And my mission is really to make the lives of entrepreneurs not just easier, but to create what we call a space of breakthroughs. Breakthrough results where, in a couple of months, we can help you increase your income and the kinds of engagement of clients that you have. Now, of course, results are going to vary based on kind of circumstances you have, etc. That's why we like to talk to people before we have them engage with us as clients. But that's the basic premise, is to really not just make your life easier, but actually produce great results for you, kind of results that you really need in your business, so you can go out and do all the great things with your family, have a free time with your family, etc. It's really vital and important for yourself. I've authored 2 books. I've been a former, I was a radio talk show host. I've mentored, like I said, thousands of entrepreneurs in the past. Between Bill and I, we have a huge Rolodex that we like to share with clients once they've once they have the good branding and the kind of positioning that we train them to have. Positioning is both online in terms of the credibility of content that they have, but also that they have a good sales machinery. The problem in referring people who don't have sales machinery, the sales machinery I'm going to describe on this webinar, is that it becomes very difficult to refer them. It becomes very difficult to position them. We want to help people, but you got to make sure that your online presence is good enough for us to do so. And so Bill and I have a combined meetup strength of about 15,000. It's probably up to about 16 by now. And we're growing it about 500 to 700 people a month. In our heydays, the earlier part of this year, which typically the early part of the year is much higher, we were going at close to about 800,000 people a month coming into our meetups. So, we've done quite a lot. We want to demonstrate to you how we can actually make this happen for you as time goes on. A little bit about Bill, and then I promise you we'll get into more content here. Bill's a professor of social media, and he's really been very present in the meetup arena. His website has about 90 million unique visitors total. And he's a much sought after speaker in the social media and content marketing worldwide. Just the division of labor between the two of us with our clients, the combined clients, is that I do most of the marketing strategic work and execution, because day-to-day execution is what's critical in translating your dreams into reality. And what Bill does is a high degree of specialization in is how to do social media and content marketing. And so that's how we serve our clients. We serve them pretty well. Okay, I want to talk about a real life case study worked with. This is Charlotte Jacobs, who today is a multi-million dollar mentor. Her monthly or so webinars and events have in the order of hundreds of people coming to see her personally in her live events for sure. Way back when I started out with her, she was almost broke. And I think that's a fair term to use. She was barely paying her bills. And so what I worked with her to do, and what I saw was quite realistic to do once I saw her circumstances and some of her skills and strengths, was that we really could turn her around in about 90 days or less. In fact, it happened in less than 90 days. And we more than tripled her income actually in that time frame. And the lessons that she has learned since that time period have laid the basis for her to train other people to help them produce millions as well. They've impacted tens of thousands of people, but a lot of the trainings, a lot of the basis of her trainings, not all, but a good part of the basis of her trainings is based on what I've trained her to do. And I'm going to try and share a lot of that today with you as well, and how you can create those kinds of results. Now, again, of course, I can't guarantee that you're going to be a millionaire or triple your income in the time frame I just shared with you about. But can we produce those kinds of results contingent on your circumstances? After looking at them, yeah, we can create a really good plan and a good solid plan for you to produce the great results, the kind of results that you deserve and should have in the next month or the next few months or the next year. Okay, so again, like I shared earlier, I've been there too, and I want to emphasize this because what we share here is not just from theory. This is hard-earned knowledge, being around the block a couple of times, not just once or twice, and not just once or twice, not just a couple of times by ourselves, but also working with a lot of people. We've got case studies, both Bill and I, to demonstrate how these principles work. But I want to go through some of these because these are relevant to some of you. If you're working hard for a sale, this is the time to really start shifting it. Some of us, we like to work hard. Bill and I like to work hard, but we also like to work smart. And that's important to understand. A lot of people talk about working smart, but what does that mean? So we're going to really drill down on what it really means to work smart today. If you are getting up and down results, how can you turn that around and have your systems work for you a lot better? And that's very important to understand now, before you get too habituated or too used to having up and down results, like a lot of people are. A lot of people are too used to having up and down results, and they get comfortable with it because, frankly, they can just squeeze by. See, they can just make enough to have a comfortable level of living, or just make it barely. But then there are costs in terms of stress, and there are costs in terms of growing your business the next year, and there are costs in terms of having more free time for yourself. There's no deep satisfaction because you're just handling customers or compromising your time with customers that may not make sense for you. And of course, this leads to no balance in life. One of the things I pride myself on is I have about 20 to 30 hours of free time every week, whilst making a pretty healthy 6-figure income. We're growing towards a 7-figure income, Bill and I. And we really like to share with you how you can have that balance as well as produce the results you're looking for. So it's important. I want to make that emphasis very important. There's a note of encouragement to you. You can make it too, but there are a couple of things that you want to look at. One is you want to create a future vision that is bigger than your issues. If you're stuck in the question, you may not have issues, but you may have questions like, that are unanswered. How to make more money, less time. But if you're stuck in asking those questions and not getting much further ahead, then it may be time to look at maybe, your future vision is what you have to create that's bigger than your current situation. You may have to up the ante on your commitment to the future vision, which may look like spending more money, investing more in education, coaching, etc., and creating systems. It's what I did in the early days, and it made a huge difference. You want to create strong accountability structures and systems to keep your eye on the future, because you see, not all of us have systems automatically present. You don't have your neighbors coming to you saying, hey, what are you doing today that's going to keep you on track on your goals? You're probably not having those kind of conversations. I have those kind of conversations on a daily basis with Bill and other people in my life who are up to really big things. It's a great life to have. And I want to invite you with open arms to that life, because it's a great way to live in business as well as personal life. So you got to be willing to invest time and energy and your money for a good measured return. You don't want to just invest your money on the next shiny object. You want to look carefully into whatever you invest in, whether it's our coaching program or other coaching programs, on getting a good return on investment without risking everything and without investing too much. So, you want to invest wisely. Why not invest in your business? Makes sense. Okay, so the pathway to success. These are the 3 things we want to cover today. The first thing, the first secret, we're going in order of the bestness of the secrets. Secret number 3 is having a solid sales engine that delivers great clients to you. Secret number 2 must-haves in your business to deliver great clients. 2 things you gotta have, okay? And secret number 1 is a solid concrete plan to get you there in 1 year. I'm going to describe an example of a plan that could get you there. And this will probably stir your imagination how you can create one for yourself. There's a special gift at the end of the webinar, so stay tuned for that. It's a really special gift. A lot of people like these special gifts. Our promise is to answer your questions as best as we can, given the limited time. Obviously, there are going to be more questions, so stay tuned towards the end, because we'll have a structure to have you get you customized answers to your questions. Everyone is different, we found. There's no answer that fits everybody. So we understand that, Bill and I. So we are offering something at the end of this webinar that will help with that, help you customize these concepts and these tools to yourself. All right. Let's check and see if there are any questions. It's great. All right. So what makes a good client? This is a good question to ask, because, as an old Chinese saying, if you're careful of where you're going, because you might get there. So if you don't know where you're going, if you don't know what a good client looks like for yourself, well, you may be in what I call bukaka land. Bukaka is a technical term that means bukaka. Bukaka means nonsensical. If you're not clear where you want to go, then you may want to define that. Now, you don't have to do that right now, but I would advise, throughout the day, throughout the next week, start a list of the things that make a good client, that define a good client for you. Example, how much would they pay you without blinking? Your current clients or the ideal target market you want to go after. What would be a good number, a dollar number for you to be paid for? If you have services, what would they be? If you have 3-tiered kind of service and you already have something like that, or you're thinking about it, how much would you like to be paid per client? How much time would you need to spend with each client? You want to start looking at inquiring seriously into these questions. How would they communicate with you? Are they going to be jerks with you? Are they going to be polite, professional? Or are they going to be friendly with you? Some people have different styles, and you want to look and see what kind of style you want to have. If you have a product, um, you may not want to have any communications with them. But you want to define this clearly, and you want to be authentic and honest about it. What problems specifically would you help them solve? You want to start looking at this, and especially if you're not being paid enough for the kinds of problems you're solving, you want to definitely look at that. And I understand it. Bill and I understand it's now early years. We were giving away so much of our services for free, and we were noticing how people were just not responding. And we are very generous people, and I'm sure most of you, not all of you are, but you want to come to the point where you want to be clear exactly what problems you are going to solve for them, what problems you're not going to solve for them unless they pay you more money. So you want to really start identifying that as best as you can, okay? By the way, everything I'm sharing with you mostly will apply to most industries. Whether you're having a service or you have a very highly specialized service that's only for luxury people, you should actually sign up for a session with us. We'll talk more about how you can do that, customize this to you. Some of what we're talking about here may not pertain, everything may not pertain to you, but you want to listen to how it could pertain to you. And then, like I said, what we offer to you when we do a private one-on-one session with you will help clarify a lot of these questions that you have pertaining to your own particular industry. But I guarantee you, it probably does pertain to almost every service and every product. There are exceptions to those rules, but again, like I said, we can address those in a personal one-on-one. Okay. So, one of the things you might want to do is start looking what makes a good client for you. How does it pertain? What would be a good client for yourself? Start looking for that. You've got to start thinking from a top-down point of view. What are the kinds of clients? What are the target markets? If you spend a lot more time on strategy and not even sell for a week, but focus on a strategy, that could be a good return on investment to do that. So I want to cover secret number 3 now. Which is how do you create a solid sales engine that delivers great clients to you? Now, again, you want to look and see inside of your own business how you can define this. Now, some of you may be really new to business, or you may be particularly comfortable with doing business in a particular way. But you see, the opportunities afforded by online marketing now are very much more understood. And just because the rest of the industry doesn't pay attention to it, I would say that may be a really good opportunity for you, because if you're the forerunner and you start dominating a market online, then it may be really good for you to do that. Like I said, some of you are asking questions already about how you can customize this. I assure you can. If you have a multi-level marketing business, you can. In fact, that might be. For MLMs, I'll answer this question really quickly because a couple of you already asked me these questions on offline and online. For an MLM, if you're an MLM or a specialized kind of business, you want to probably talk to us in the strategy session we're going to offer at the end of this webinar. Because there are certain things that you may have to do that's different from the mass duplication style that you've been told to do, that you've been ingrained to do. You may have to step outside of that box. And I promise you, if you step outside of the box, you'll be able to create more cash flow and then return to the processes that your MLM recommends for you. So you really want to pay attention here, okay, for sure. So see, these are the basics of sales that pertain to internet and online marketing as well as offline marketing. And you want to understand why people pay good money. I say good money because when people pay good money, they understand your product, they understand your service, and they understand very clearly the importance and the compelling reasons on why they need to buy your service, your product right away. And you see, if you're not hitting people like that, if your messaging, your marketing is not getting people to at least engage with you as soon as possible, then you're probably failing in your business. And I feel sad for you, but that's the truth. And the sooner you turn that around and get people at least engaging with you and getting serious with you, asking you questions about your business, If you're trying to convince them too much to join your business, you're failing. You need a different model. You need a different model to engage them. So why do people pay good money? Well, for a couple of reasons. Yeah, you got to build trust. You got to build some credibility. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in the next question, in the next slide. But you got to build trust and credibility. But more so, you got to build engagement with people. You got to give people a good enough reason to say, wow, this guy is different from everybody else who's in MLMs or interior designers or etc. You got to give them a good enough reason to want to engage with you right from the back, because they're not going to plunk down $1 million or even $1,000, even $100 to engage in your services right away. They'll want to hear more from you. Now, when they come online and check you out, you got a split second to get their attention. So you got to get their attention very, very quickly. And this is what we call the gateway problem solution. So you got to find out what that gateway problem is that's going to engage people when they first come to you. I promise you, it's probably not your $5,000 or $1,000 or $100 an hour solution. They're probably not going to buy that right away. Probably not. It's probably very rare to do. So what you want to do is build up the trust first by offering something that's a smaller solution that they have a problem with. Now, this is going to vary from situation to situation. In lawyers, for example, what we've recommended for certain areas of the law which are not that regulated, what we recommend is giving an ebook first that explains certain steps that can address an immediate problem. You don't want to give away the whole solution, but you want to give them just enough so that they feel like, okay, this person knows what they're talking about. It may have some uniqueness to some of the solutions. It also positions you as someone who's an expert, etc., etc. So you want to really think about what your sales funnel is going to look like. And this is what we're talking about: sales funnel, sales engine, or sales funnel engine. You want to start designing and thinking about how you can lead a person coming to you who has no clue about you, who has no trust in you, has no reliability in you at all, through building trust, through engaging a little bit more, to buying maybe a first or primary product or service from you, and then upselling them in the future. If you don't have a sales engine like that, then it's very difficult to have sustainable sales. You may have one-off sales here and there. Now, this pertains also to luxury clients and to specialized industries. And again, you gotta look at it more from a point of view of strategy rather than specific instantiation. Some of you go, oh, it's online, I just have to do social media. No, probably not going to work for you. You're probably going to spend a lot of money and not get much results. You got to design your sales engine here, and you got to think through how to design it. It's a mistake that I and many other people have made in the past, and I hope that you don't commit the same mistake. So the gateway problem solution is what initially how you can initially engage people with that problem that they may want to address right away. They realize that it may not be the main problem, but it's a problem they may want to engage with you first, at least to get a sense of how you can help them. You can help them with something that's small to start out with. That's not high investment, small investment of their time. Could be free, may not cost much if it's not free, but it's something to get them engaged. So you've seen stuff like this. It could be a free ebook that you get, or a free offering of another. It could be a software app. Some of my clients have offered that in the past just to get people engaged initially. It could be something small like that, but you want to think through what that could be like. And then what are the stages that you can lead people through to build trust and value? Now, obviously, this is going to vary from person to person. This is why we want to talk to you, because then we can help you design what those stages are going to look like. So I hope that makes sense. But I want you to start thinking of this, how you can design and lay it out. Some of you may already have an idea, but you want to probably talk with us so we can give you a reality check on what could make sense. The golden solution is usually the end point of the final stages of your funnel. It's where you offer a more expensive solution. This is where you make the money. But you see, if you try and offer a golden solution like a lot of people do right at the bat, right at the first initial meeting, you're probably not going to get much engagement, right? And this pertains to whether it's online or offline. Even in offline marketing, if you go networking with people, you want to engage them first before you try and sell them something. Now, this sounds kind of basic, but you want to have a system that does that for you. Okay, again, if you have any questions about this, feel free to type any questions in the Q&A box. Um, and want to talk about a case study really quickly here. And this is a case study, real life case study. We've changed the name to protect the confidentiality of our clients. JK is a real estate wholesaler. When he first came to us, he was struggling because he was not standing out in the market. And in the market that he was in, he was looking for investors. You really got to stand out, especially now, especially after the 2008 debacle, real estate debacle. As everything went haywire in the real estate industry, people just trust us went out the door. So you really had to be good at your game. You really had to demonstrate knowledge and competence with investors who are now very, very selective about who they would work with. So very competitive. Most marketing was done via networking. He was spending a lot of time going to networking events and not getting a lot of traction. Very limited online presence. And he had no sales engine on his website. So he had no way to guide people through stages. Now, you had to be, in his case, I think for a lot of you, you have to be really aware of the SEC regulations and regulations that might regulate your industry. So, we created a very conservative sales engine with him designing it. We made it really simple. We made sure we complied with all regulations with the SEC for investors, etc. We created a very simple ebook that we offered that hit the pain points in a particular target market that we were not lucky, because we did a lot of the work to find this market. It's a really great market for him. It was a highly niche market. His marketing and sales cycle went down. In other words, he spent less time trying to convince people to do business with him. And so we had a very simple sales engine. It was the ebook offering that addressed a particular pain point. People started signing up with it. It was a very interesting offering. Then we created webinars, and then they did one-on-one sessions that were offered at the webinars, rather like how we do it, slightly different in some ways. And then led up to signups or letters of intent for them to be investors. And then, people in that group, actually, he started building a group of investors that he could go to over the year for different kinds of deals that he had. Very sweet for him over time. He had 2.5 times growth compared to the previous year. And this is in the order of hundreds of thousands of dollars I'm talking about. Create a great foundation for the second year, which is very important to understand. We're building for the long term here. You don't want to build for just 1 year and then leave it. You want to build for the long term, And so what we did was we increased the market systematization in the first and second year. And in the second year, we actually had 1.5 times growth from the last year. Now, that looks like, it went down, but actually it's still a lot of money for him. And we were still growing. Higher quality investors were coming in. This is key to understand, because they were educated in the sales funnel. Not just educated informationally, they were educated to understand the pain and how their pains, their problems, and how they could really resolve them realistically. And that's important to understand. So if you really have a sales funnel, you can educate people. And by the time they really start engaging with you seriously, guess what? They're more ready to buy from you, right? His mindset was also improved in the sense that he stopped being overly generous with everybody that just came in. He's trying to get everybody's business. And he said, I can pick and choose now who I want to work with and do it fairly, So he had a bigger pool of investors to pick from, and he had a bigger apartment deal. He could be more flexible in who he selected to work with him. So you want to work with people you enjoy working with, and it's really great when you have a freedom to do so. So the biggest things really were the confidence, security, and peace of mind, and that's what comes when you have a larger database with more control over your flow and pipeline. Okay, so secret number 2. These are the 2 must-haves in your business to deliver great clients, and this is where you'll see how Bill and I can really help you. You must have 2 components. The sales funnel engine, you got to be able to design that well, like I talked about in the previous section here. But you also got to create a credibility engine. And this is something that Bill's a master at. It's why I work with him. I love working with him because he has proven case studies, and pure math can demonstrate why you can actually generate your traffic much higher, position yourself better in the search engines, etc. So, in your credibility engine, you want to create content that positions you on search. So positions you very well on the first page, preferably, But you see, how most people try to do that is they buy traffic, they buy Google Ads, etc. It's very expensive, not necessarily good return on investment. It takes a long time too sometimes. So you might as well really do what we're suggesting, which takes a while too, but you don't have to spend as much money. And the basic premise is that you create content that's relevant, that's mathematically relevant as well. It's at a certain frequency. If you're posting every day, there's a better chance that you'll outdo your competition, who may not be posting every day. I guarantee most people are not. If you're posting every week, even, you may be better than them. If you post more frequently, if you have a longer build of your content over time, if you have better content, you have more articles, you have more video, you have more of the words that people are searching for in your content, more likely you're going to be found. So you want to really build that credibility because it positions you as an expert in your industry when people see you at the top of the search engine. They see really good quality articles compared to your competitors. So you may not be even at the top of your search engine, but if you have better articles, better information, you address the weak points of your competitors, you're going to be much better off and positioned very well as an expert online. So going back to the sales engine, a little bit of the process that we go through with our clients is the first 4 months or so when you work with people, we focus on this thing here called the target market and strategy. And we work with people to interview their clients, prospects, etc. It's one of the most amazing things you can ever do. A lot of people resist it from time to time, but it's the best thing to do when you interview your clients and your prospects because you hear it from the horse's mouth and you hear the kind of wordings that they use. You hear the particular problems that they have. When you get that, you have a clearer picture of what the market is. Remember, Mr. Market will determine how much money you're going to make and how you're going to make it. You have to follow Mr. Market. If you don't follow Mr. Market, you don't find out what the market really wants, then you're operating blindly. It's like flying a plane without a navigation system at night. It's very difficult to do so. And then what we do is also organize launches that are more professional, to be honest with you. We do it in a more organized way. We measure results so we can fine-tune your launches so that you can have a very focused launch period in a month or so and make a lot of money. Bill and I just did a launch and we made about $75,000, probably more by the time we're done. And that was just done over a weekend and over a couple of weeks of work, and that's a more focused way of making money. And we'd like to train you how to do that. I hope that makes sense. So again, I'm trying to introduce you to these concepts, but the practical stuff is really in customizing, how you can customize this to your own particular industry and to your own market. But the important thing you want to understand is you want to have a sales funnel engine and you want to have a credibility engine. And that's the kind of stuff that can turn your business around in 1 year. Or if your business is already doing well, it can take you to the next level in a year or less. Okay. So again, a case study here. This is a naturopathic that I work with. Really great guy to work with. He was brand new. He just graduated about 1 year before he started working with me. And he had some articles, but nothing really established online. He had articles written up, but nothing really published. So he had a very low level of credibility online. And so he couldn't get higher pricing for his services because he couldn't really stand out from other people. If you want higher pricing, you really got to demonstrate that you stand out from other people, that you do it better, that you have a better system, that you understand them better. You have to demonstrate that up front. And a lot of people these days are checking you out online. They're trying to find out more about you, comparing you with your competition. So you got to make sure that you're positioned very well. It was hard to sell and confirm patients. Patients were canceling at the last minute, not taking him seriously. They wouldn't come back. Some of them were just being polite because they were friends. So having a hard time with all of that. And what we did was, with some interviewing of his target markets, we isolated a major pain point in the market that was pretty unique that he could actually address. And he had a strength in that area, and he actually enjoyed doing those particular naturopathic solutions. And so we created a sales funnel based on it. We designed it based on the needs of the market. We did some interviews. We did about 25 interviews in this market, if my memory serves me right. And that gave us a lot of great information. And then we analyzed it in a particular way that gave us the pain points, how to design the pain points in a sales funnel and lead them through the sales funnel to being really good clients. So we posted articles in a systematic fashion in his blog to address the pain points in a systematic way. And initially, patient visits were about 20 per month. And like I said, a lot of word of mouth, lots of hard work and discounts that he had to give to his clients to keep them on. In about 8 months, we got his patient visits to 45 on an average for month 6, 7, and 8. So the last 3 months of that 8-month period, he was consistently getting, well, he's getting an average of 45 per month. He was showing up at the bottom of the first page, which was much better than what he was not showing up at all. And that was not even, I mean, this is even actually before I started working with Bill, to be honest with you. I mean, I wasn't doing it right. We just did basic stuff. Imagine what he could do with Bill right now. But he was showing up in the bottom of the first page for stage within his geographical area, which is what counted for him. That's where his target market was. The best part was he raised his prices, and he could do so comfortably because he saw that the market was willing to pay for it. It was an established, clear pain points that the market really needed a solution on, almost a no-brainer to raise the prices. Referrals also continued to increase because it was more targeted marketing. It just makes sense. If you find the right market, right target, and if you're increasing your credibility in that area, and you have sales funnels that work, it all creates a very nice meeting of some powerful vectors that can create a really great business for you. All right, the last thing I want to cover here in terms of content is you really need a solid concrete plan. And this is the number one thing where most people fail if they don't do it, and succeed extraordinarily well if they do. Now, when I say a solid concrete plan, it's not just coming up with a plan. That's relatively straightforward to do. Almost anybody can do it. But it's actually executing the plan that makes a good plan. How you execute it makes a good plan. You know, if you can execute it well, then you have a very good plan. Otherwise, you have a sucky plan. So I'm talking about having a solid concrete plan that you can execute. And what my clients have said to me is the reason why my coaching program works for a lot of people is I like to work with flexible plans, but they're not flexible to the point where they're chaotic. They're flexible, they have some structure to it, some rigor to it, but they're not like inflexible. You have to have a flexible plan that can respond. And this is what I have here on the screen is an illustration of how you can have a flexible plan. Now, this is a mix and match of a couple of clients we just did a plan for. So it's very simple. You know, if you look at the plan, we start out very conservatively in the first month. You know, doing 60 articles for this particular person is actually conservative because they're used to doing articles. They're used to writing. Now, you may not be used to writing. So we may start very low in the first month here. If you can see my mouse where it points to, for October 2015, we may start with 10 articles for the month. I mean, you know, it may sound ridiculous. You probably exceed it. But when you start out with that pacing, and then you can build up in the future months and, you know, build it up to a higher level. And we cut it off at April 2016, but this plan actually took it up to where the person would have about 1,200 articles online. Now imagine we had 1,200 articles online working for you. Each of those articles are like a sales engine for you, working 24 hours. People are coming to read that, they're intrigued by it, they click on a link that takes them to more information. And now you've got a sales engine. You know, you've got a really powerful sales engine if you have 1,200 articles or so online. But we want to start with a solid plan like this and be able to fine tune it. This starting plan is kind of like a course that a ship captain sets initially. You want to have an initial course. If you don't have an initial course, you're like a business with, like a ship captain without any plan to get anywhere. It's fine if you don't want to get anywhere. You just want to go traveling around in circles. That's fine. But if you want to get somewhere in your business, you better have a plan that you're willing to execute on. Now, the beauty of this is that the power of the plan or planning is really in the execution, like I said. And the execution is how frequently you revisit the plan and you dialogue about the plan with someone who has a second or third set of eyes, like Bill and I. Because we can look at the plan and see if it's realistic based on your current results, and then fine tune it to be more realistic. The worst thing we've seen in plans is people get disenchanted with the plan because they're not hitting the goals. If you're not hitting the goals We want to find out sooner rather than later so we can adjust the plan, make it more realistic for you. So I hope that makes sense because that's a critical part to understand in making this happen. You can learn all the social media in the world, you can go to all these great seminars, but if you don't get a plan to execute on what you're learning, then you're in bukaka land. Bukaka land, like I said earlier, bukaka is a technical term. That means bukaka, it means nonsensical. You don't want to have a nonsensical business. You want to have a plan that really works for you. And those of you who tend to resist plans, I assure you, we've worked with artists. My wife is an artist, and she embraces this way of planning now because it's a more flexible way of planning. I mean, you can change these milestones as you go based on reality. And that's how we wanted to do it. We wanted to set expectations that are right for you and then try to exceed expectations a little bit and challenge yourself a little bit every month as you go along. And that's the best way we found to really produce results and keep them going. Ginny, that's just an example. Your question is how many visits per month is considered. It really depends on what kind of website you have, what kind of industry you have. So come on to the strategy session and we'll cover that question with you, okay? So again, don't look at the math too much. These are initial things that we came up with. The person that we did this example for has a particular industry for which 2.5 minutes is actually really quite good. But if you build it up to 5.5 minutes, and by the end of the year, actually, we were at about 10.5 minutes per. That's quite a lot. Okay. Doable, but again, we want to look at what's realistic for you. So that's why we want to just expose you to this idea. But the instantiation of this idea is going to vary from person to person. Okay. But the most important thing to understand in this is the progression. We want to start conservatively here with 60 for this person, which is about 3 articles a day. 3 articles a day is doable for this person because she was a writer and she has a children's book that she wants to put out, etc. And then we build it up to 65 articles in November, which includes 60 plus 65 in November, adds up to 125. And we build it up a little bit at a time like that over time, and you can increase your numbers as you go on. So I hope that makes sense. So some of you may already have high numbers here, and then what we'll do is we increase the numbers as we go on. That's what we want to do. You don't want to rest in our laurels. You want to keep increasing the numbers. So if you look at the income here too, we start out very conservatively. We have 0 income for this particular person in the first 3 months, and they can afford that because they have some savings. They have quite a lot of money already coming in. But this new business that they're creating is what we're working on with them. So we can afford to take 2 months where we're building up the strategy, etc. For some of you, you may need to build your cash flow up right away, and we can work with you on that. But we want to set realistic goals. It's better to have realistic goals than unrealistic ones, and then deal with the realism or the reality of the situation, right? So the first 2 months here may not be no income, but we're setting up the funnels. We're designing stuff. We're really doing some active work here. We're really investigating the markets, seeing what makes sense, what would be the highest ROI market that we can work with. And then we start testing it in the 3rd month. And then testing, we find we make $5,000. And then we test another funnel. And then we do a launch prep in February. So we're building up here in a more realistic fashion. Notice we're not putting a lot of stuff every month. A lot of people try to do like 8 things in a month. And that just leads to a decrease in quality of performance. You see it all the time. And what we encourage you to look at is more reality and better quality results rather than trying to get a lot of stuff done, which may be kind of foolish. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that it's internalized by you. Okay. So a case study here. This is a realtor couple that I worked with a couple of years ago. Started working with them, still work with them. When I first started working with them, they were making about $175K per year. They were comfortable but not satisfied. It's just enough to feed the kids, get them to school, save a little bit of money, but it wasn't really fulfilling their dreams, and their dreams and their aspirations are much higher. Now, some of you may be at a different level, but just again, you want to pay attention to the example rather than, oh my, this is the way that I have to do it. In your case, it may be different. They were having painful clients. The primary problem they had was the time they had to spend on weekends, especially in addressing last-minute questions and concerns that clients had. Clients all of a sudden wanted to go see a property in the middle of their Sunday. when they were relaxing with their kids. It was quite a bit of stress there. You also had last minute pullouts from escrow. They show up at an escrow signing, and they were handling a lot of commercial units too, and they find out for some strange reason a person will pull out at the last minute. They had no time for their kids, and this is the worst part: not feeling respected as an expert in their field, which they were. I mean, they had years of experience doing this. Their up and down results, no consistency. Their previous real estate coach that was working with them was trying to force results in them. They had been working with this real estate coach for about 6 years or so. It was a good coach, but at that point, the coach was trying to force the results, trying to get them to follow exactly what their milestones are. There was no flexibility, respecting their circumstances, etc. So what we did when I came in, we created a proper sales engine. We figured out mailers were still good. They were doing mailers, but we improved the copy on the mailers. We identified the pain points better, and we're addressing the pain points better. We also did it in combination with email, and then we did really specific outreach to different areas for what we call move-ins. It's a particular pain point that people had in those particular geographical areas. So we hit a great market in 2 cities for what we call remote move-ins. People wanted to move in from different areas into that area. And we had a great market. It was an easy market to do, but it took some research to find it and some outreach. And we had to do some credibility marketing as well to get there online. We did more white papers at that time, but it really worked. So important to build your credibility as well as your sales engine, definitely. Results within 1 year, they went up to 325K. And the best part about all this is really not so much the money. Money is great, but really creating systems and hires to take over their weekend work was the best part for them. They didn't have to spend any more times in the weekend. They had really gung-ho, motivated realtors they hired to work for them to do all the work. On their exit interview in the 2nd year, they're still working with us, but we always do exit interviews with people, one-on-one clients. They said the flexibility of plan is what worked for us. Okay, it gives you a sense. So, like I already shared earlier, we're offering a free, very influential or VIP strategy session for you. There are limited seats for this, and it requires an application. And we're only going to take applications from you today, because probably we're going to run out of space of time for Bill and I to do these sessions. We've already got a couple of sessions that we're doing next week. So we're running out of time literally for this. So if you want to get this, you want to go to the site that's on your page right now. Those of you on the phone, the site is www.yourvipss.com. That's yourvipss.com. And what we'll do is we'll cover, how to create a 1-year plan to up-level your market audience. If you want to create that 1-year plan, we'll give you a rough set of milestones or a rough set of ideas. We'll give you professional suggestions on addressing your challenges and your objectives. And if probably it will be appropriate to give you at least a rough set plan for how you can up-level your market audience in 1 year or less. Okay, and so you want to go to yourvipss.com, fill out the form there, and then scroll to the bottom and then press the send or submit button. And then we'll respond within 24 business hours 24 business hours. So by end of Monday, we'll respond to you, to your applications. Okay. And so again, you want to go to www.yourvipss.com. So in summary, then I'll get to some of the questions here. I'm already having some burning questions here. Secret number 1, the solid sales engine that will deliver a great client. So you want to really set up your sales funnel engine for yourself. That's very, very critical to do. You want to start thinking about how you can design it and get on the call with us so we can help you design that as well, or at least give you a draft design of what it could look like. You probably won't get a full design in 1 hour itself. It'll take some time to really design a good full-fledged engine, but you want to start thinking about this. How can I design an engine that's going to feed me rather than me always individually trying to feed my own business? You want to create an engine that does that for you, and at the same time delivers good clients for yourself. Secret number 2, the 2 must-haves. So remember, credibility engine and the sales funnel engine. You got to have those 2. If you don't, then you're setting yourself up to have and very individualized word of mouth business at best, which can go up and down business from time to time. Nothing wrong with the word of mouth business, but you want to have a sales engine as well as a credibility engine to drive more clients to you. Secret number 3, a solid concrete plan to get there in 1 year. You want to have, you notice my plan is rather simple. I have 4 things we measure. We try to measure 4 over a year. And it has to be simple like that. It has to be realistic to start up with. And then you want to have a style of executing the plan where you're reviewing the plan at least on a weekly basis, if not more frequently than that. I review my plan, by the way, every day. I look at my yearly plan every day to make sure I'm on track. The more frequently you do that, the more likely you are to hit, if not exceed, your objectives. So that's a summary. I promise you a special gift. For the first 3 people to sign up and are approved for the free strategy session, so mark my words, you have to sign up for the session and you must be approved for the session. So make sure you fill out the form appropriately. Don't give me stupid answers. I'm sure none of you will do that. But give me some meaty answers that I can wrap my head around. Okay, this is interesting, and you can, it's something somebody I'd like to work with. Give us some more details, and if you're approved for the free strategy session, then you'll get an autographed free copy of my book, More Money, More Time, Less Stress. Be sure to include your full name and mailing address in the application when you turn it in. Let's see, looks like there's a quick question here. Okay. Yeah, Ginny, I appreciate your question. It's a good question and a good comment. And if you want to increase your visits, you certainly want to come and talk to us and sign up for the free session. We can probably help you get it up even higher. At least have a free session so we can explore that for sure. So thank you for your question. It's certainly a good question. Let's see. So again, the first 3 people who sign up and are approved will get the free strategy session and get the autographed free copy. Okay. So questions here. All right. Yeah. So the question, okay, how do I do this? Okay. So it's how you get in the strategy session is you apply by going to yourvipss.com, and I have it here on the screen. If you're on the phone, this is an email question, but if you're on the phone, again, it's yourvipss.com. Okay, so I feel like I have, next question, I feel like I have high expectations of my clients or the kind of clients that I want. How do I resolve that? Yeah, some of you may really want to have you're kind of tired. I can sense the tiredness of having certain kinds of clients or customers, whether it's a product or service, and you want to get to the next level. The key really is that I found the biggest key, it's a big hint, is to do your target marketing strategy analysis. This includes the stuff that we do in the first 4 months when we work with our clients. We look at the target markets. We really look at the current ones that you're working with. We look at see how we can improve them, but we also look and see, okay, there are other markets that may be better. We want to get the best markets for you that you can work with. And then the second thing is make sure that your messaging is keen, that you're really addressing the pain points that people coming to your site will go, oh, Ginny or this person or this interior designer really understands me, really gets me. I want to engage with them because they really understand my plight here. And she's offering this gateway or this gateway solution, which is an ebook. Oh, it doesn't cost me anything. I'm going to sign up for it. You want to really get that going, how you can engage people. So it's not just getting visits on the site. You also have to make sure that you're engaging people. Getting a lot of visits and people are not signing up, that's not worth your time, right? So you want to get both visits as well as signups. So it's important to really think through this. Sometimes we try to look for the next shiny object as the quick solution. And that's usually the problem with most people, why they get anxious and stressed out and burnt out. The number one cause of burnout is because we don't have a proper relationship to chronology or time. See, sometimes you may have to bring more patience to the game. You may have to patiently look for what is it that makes sense for me. Boy, I don't want to spend a lot of time on these kind of clients. I want to have these kind of clients that I spend less time with and make more money with. Why am I doing this? Why am I suffering through all this? It may require a shift in thinking that requires some analysis and frankly some dialogue from someone else who will tell you the truth. So you want to really engage with that. So that's probably the best way that I've seen to really generate, fulfilling a higher expectation of clients. Okay, and make sure. I want to make sure that you're clear that the strategy session is free, doesn't cost you anything, but you need to apply for it today. Okay, so make sure you apply for it as soon as possible. We'll cut it off as soon as we get to a certain level where we're inundated with sessions. Like I said, we already have a couple. I have a few, only very few limited time slots next week. I have a few more the following week after. So make sure you get your applications in as soon as possible. I have a couple more questions I want to cover. Um, Jeannie's question: once you offer the free gift ebook on your site, how do you make the most? Yeah, you're asking questions that are good, Jeannie. But frankly, to answer your question, we need to talk to you. That's the honest truth, because it's difficult to answer that question unless you design a sales funnel from a top-down approach and looking at the clients, what your clients need. See, you don't want to just pay attention to tactics. You want to think strategically, Jeannie. And this is for everybody too. You want to think like a general. You don't want to think like a platoon commander, who only does tactical stuff. You want to look at how you can win the entire war. Sorry for my wartime, and I was in the military for a while. You want to think about how to win the war instead of just isolated little battles here and there. So you want to think about what are the pain points for your clients. You want to think from there, and that will tell you what to do after you offer the free gift. So I hope that makes sense. That's an important thing to understand. Okay? All right. Great. Yeah, okay. So Jenny asked, I've done that, developed a sales funnel. I think it's my language. You're probably right. Messaging is probably off. It's not engaging people enough. It's not getting to the pain points. So you got to do two things when you're selling. You got to describe the pain points so people get a little kick in the behind. Sorry, but you're truthful. So they actually commit to something. If you're painting a rosy picture alone or just doing the pain points, it's insufficient. You got to do both. You got to paint the rosy picture of the future, what it would look like, so they are excited about the future, but you also got to put enough of a kick in them to see, hey, listen, if you don't do anything about this now, you're going to continue suffering. You're going to die. I'm exaggerating. That's a horrible thing to say. But it's true in some cases. We work with a naturopath. In some cases, we had to do that because the truth is the patient wasn't going to follow the instructions. They were probably going to die, and the family was going to have to handle that. And that's a pain point. And so sometimes we have to be unabashed about going there. I'm not saying do that inappropriately. Mark my words, okay? But I'm saying do that appropriately so that people can really get a sense of why they need to buy from you. Yeah, you got it, Jenny. It's only a rosy picture. You got to get out a rosy picture. Now that takes some. See, I pay my coach about $20,000. It's okay for me to spend it. I have a bit of money, but it's still a bit of a sting for me. But I use them because I'm dialoguing with them quite a lot. Because even though I'm pretty good at copy, I have to talk with them to make sure that my copy is good. Because when you're in the middle of your business, it's hard to see clearly. You need someone external to help you with that. And that's very key, what you just described. Okay, more questions here. Thank you for the questions that are coming in. I see a lot more. I want to get to this here because they came by email. Can we do a sales funnel for products? Yeah, absolutely. Of course we can. Absolutely. You can do sales funnels for products. Again, you want to talk to us so we can make sure it makes sense, because how you do products may be a little different, but again, it's the basic same principles. You want to look at the target market, you want to look at the pain points, same principles. It's human beings. You're addressing human beings. Doesn't matter if you have product or services. You got to get to them seeing why they need to engage with you. You got to give them a really good reason to engage with them. It has to be done very quickly if they come to see you on the website. So if that makes sense. I think it's my language. Okay, got it. I thought I saw another question here. I think I answered all the questions. All right. Let's see. Let me make sure I get all these questions. Okay. All right. Let's see here. One question for high-level product or services. Can we find a target market? Yeah, we can. We can help you find a target market. It'll take a while sometimes. Sometimes it takes a week or so. Some of our clients who just started in our current program, it took them about a week, 2 weeks to find out and identify clearly. Well, bang, we got it right away. For some other people, it may take about a month or so. It may take a month and a half. Now, in the meantime, we want you to just keep selling and bringing in cash flow with your current cash flow systems. But we want to look at the long term too. If you're not looking at the long term, you're not spending enough time every week on the long term planning, long term execution of your markets. you're always going to be in the short term. So yeah, for the high level products and services, same principle. You want to look at your target markets, etc. Uh, so you want to do that too. Again, like I said, even for luxury markets, it's a little different. For luxury markets, it may not be so much of a pain point, but it's more of what the pain is really is what they want so badly. They want to have that luxury home that's 2.5 million that fits exactly what they want, and that's the pain point. So the pain points may be different, but it's still, guess what? A pain point. You want to address that. They may be tired of dealing with realtors who don't know enough about luxury homes in a particular area. That's their pain point. It's still the pain point, even for interior designers. When you're dealing with the luxury market, still want to deal with what is that pain point? What are they struggling with? Everybody's got a pain point. Just because you got a couple of $1 million, client doesn't mean you don't have any pain. You have some kind of pain. You inevitably will have something like that. I'm scared to invest money and time right now. Do you have any advice for that? Yeah. See, if whatever you're going to invest in is going to put you in starvation mode, obviously don't do it. It's stupid. Don't do it at all. Build up some cash flow before you invest in anything, or figure out how to do it so you stay in integrity with your finances. Now, having said that, though, if you're not in starvation mode, then what you want to look at is always want to look at return on investment versus risk. So if you're going to plunk down $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000, whatever you're going to put money into to invest into, you want to make sure you're going to get 3 times that return within the next year or in some appropriate time frame. You want to figure out what that is. And then you want to look and make sure that your investment of time and energy is what you're willing to do. If you're not willing to plunk down the energy and the time and the money, then, it may be foolish to do right now. But you want to look at the return on investment. See, when I first signed up for my first coaching program in 1991, I was barely making 40 grand a year. And my coach cost me about $1,000 a month. He was a great coach. I wanted to work with him. But my determination was to make at least 3-4 times that amount in the next year. And I did way more than that, actually, in a shorter period of time, because I was intentional about doing it. I was hungry. I was quite obsessed, to be honest with you. But I was willing to work with it. I was willing to do it. I was willing to. My coach told me it was going to take X number of hours to do. I had to sacrifice part of my lunch hour to do the work. I did it. I worked full time and I made it happen. So you got to look at is it worth the return? And sometimes you may have to do short-term suffering to get to long-term joy. There's no free ride. If you want to get to long-term joy, if you want to get your dreams fulfilled, somewhere you got to pay the piper. You got to make the investment. Sometimes the investment is a little bit uncomfortable in the short run. But most of the time, it kind of works out, because here's why. If you make an investment of a couple of $1,000 or $10,000, even $20,000 to something, guess what? You're going to show up. You're going to show up more different than you ever have before. So it's imperative to really think that way. Now, I'm not saying, again, mark my words, I'm not saying be foolish, be stupid about investing. You want to look at what the return is and then make a decision based on that. It has to be wise from that point of view. Okay. All right. We're almost there at the end here. Got other questions. I promise you, the people who have email questions, I'll get back to you by email. Thank you for asking those questions. I promise you I will answer those questions by the end of the day. So we want to cover your gap in the free session. So make sure you sign up for this free session, the strategy session. The first 3 people who are approved will get the book sent to you. Make sure you include your mailing address. Go to yourvipss.com right away and sign up for that free session. It's a very short form, but fill it out well with details so we can approve you. You can get the book. Next week, Bill Belew, who's on the screen right now. Great Bill Belew. He's going to be doing the webinar next week, same time, 10 a.m. Pacific on Friday. And he's going to go over a case study, which I'm actually personally fascinated by too. How a hobby can become a full-time income. How your hobby could become a full-time income. He's going to do a case study on a grandmother and a retired cop husband went from $1,000 a week, or $1,000 a week, to $13,000 a week. It's a 5-step strategy needed to achieve real influence. And then he's going to talk about the number 1 reason why people cannot convert their passion into their life's work and the solution, and how you can solve this, how you can solve the problem of converting your passion into your life's work and making money at it. So that's going to be next week. Make sure that you schedule time for that and you opt into the webinar when we send it out. We would love to see you again. And we look forward again to seeing you on the live strategy sessions. Be sure to sign up for that as soon as possible. And remember, we're running out of seats, but sign up for it to avoid disappointment. And we'll see you there on the strategy session. We'll see you on the future webinars as well. Thank you for the opportunity to make a difference with you. Bill's waving as well. We'll see you soon. Take care. Have a great day. And we'll talk to you soon. Take care.